Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now in this video we're going to be having a look at this thing you can just see peeping over my left shoulder. It's the brand new Fanatec direct drive wheelbase, the Fanatec CSL DD. Now I will put the necessary disclaimer out there first of all. I am a Fanatec partner. Fanatec sent me this for free, so I didn't pay for it. Although Fanatec have never ever asked me to say anything specific about their products. They've never given me a penny to cover their products on my channel. And they don't have any input into production, so they don't see this video before you. So what are you going to get from me in this video? Well, just like you, I'm a sim racer. That's what I do. I'm not a reviewer of products, never have been, never will be, although I do like testing new gear. But I'm going to give you a sim racer's perspective, and there's not many things that I'm interested in really. I'm not going to cover all the intricacies and what's inside there. I'm not interested. Loads of other YouTube channels will cover that. All I want to know is, how does it look? Does it perform well? And is it value for money? They're the only three things that I'm interested in. Because I'm looking at this as if I'm actually buying the product. And would I recommend it to you? And I'm not going to recommend something that's substandard. I take the equipment on my rig very seriously. This is my daily driver. I am a sim racer. And I'm not going to put anything on my rig that's inferior. So if this doesn't stack up, I'm going to tell you. So first of all, we'll get it on the bench there. We'll have a look at it. We'll just compare it to the DD1, which is what I've been using most recently. We'll look at the size, how it compares, then we'll put it on the rig, and then we'll get on track and see how it feels. So we've got the DD1 and the Fanatec CSL DD side by side here. So you can see the size difference. It's absolutely huge. This one's obviously got cooling fan in the back. This doesn't have any cooling at all, but there shouldn't be a problem with that. The mounting points on the side of the DD1, these are the same distance here. You can use T-nuts on the side here. See there, to slot that in. And that distance there is the same, this distance here. So the mount pretty much the same. And underneath, you've got mounting holes on the bottom of the DD1. And the T-nuts on the bottom correspond with regards to the distance on the DD1. So pretty much identical. We'll just have a quick look at the back. So on the back there, we've got similar inputs for the CSL DD as we do for the DD1. Got handbrake, pedal, shifter 1 and shifter 2 on there. So that's if you've got Fanatec stuff already. Power port and the USB cable there. On the front, if you've got any things that you've attached to your wheelbase previously, like dashboards or button boxes, these four holes on the front of the DD1 are exactly the same as the ones on the front of the CSL DD. So if you're coming from a DD1 and going to that, or vice versa, or if you go from this to one of those in the future, everything's going to be the same. So you'll be able to transfer whatever you have on one and put it on the other. Now the quick release is a little bit different. On there, we've got like a collar that you tighten up to the wheelbase. Here, we don't have that. We just have the shaft. It seems a little bit more industrial, and it does feel a little bit better. So we don't have to bother with a collar because it doesn't have one on there. The one thing I really, really like about the new CSL DD is this, the power button. As stupid as it sounds, on the DD1, it's on the back. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pain in the backside to turn it on and off. The CSL DD has got a power button on the front, which makes life so much easier. Right, let's get this on the rig, take it for a drive. So then, before we go out, you can see in the bottom right that there's my frames per second. Now, the bottom bar, the F, is my force feedback bar. And you can see as I move the wheel, that's then moving, showing me that there is some force feedback. The green bar is what we want. If it goes into the orange, well, that's not ideal, and the force feedback is starting to clip, and we're not going to get the detail that we possibly could do. And if it goes to red, then that means that all the force feedback is getting fired to the wheelbase, it's overloaded, and we're not going to get any detail from that at all. So we want to try keep that in the green. I've also got my black box on there with my force feedback strength. At the moment, we've got that on 6.0, 57 Newton meters. I always have it on this number here, the 6, just much easier to understand. Now with the DD1, I run mine around about 6.0, just over. But we'll see where we get with the 5 Newton meter power pack. So there's not really much there right now. It's quite light. Although there is a little bit of resistance. The force feedback's not starting to clip. Yeah, you can see it's centering itself fine just there. Oh, we're getting a wobble on there. There we go. I wish I meant to do that. So, we'll just take it for a little drive, and then we'll just up the number to get it where we want it to be. But that's really light there. Although there is detail in the force feedback, I can feel small bumps. But it's really light, too light for me. Far too light. But we're nowhere near clipping with the force feedback there. But that's not taking any force really to turn that at all. Although you can see there is detail there, but the actual force feedback is not where I would want it. So we'll try and up that a bit now. We'll put it, click auto, see what it puts. So it's taking us right up to 10. Right, that feels a bit better. Yes, I can feel now a bit more force feedback there. Yeah, vibrations are coming through now. Still very light though. I just want to see if it clips at 10.3. A little flash of amber there in the meter at the bottom. Look at the auto button has flashed up again. That means that there's going to be a little adjustment. Yeah, that's really light through there. So we'll click on auto. That's gone up a little bit more, 10.6. There's definite... Yeah, there's definitely detail there, but the forces aren't as strong as I'm used to or what I would want. Although the forces that we've got here are probably going to be, yeah, they're going to be much stronger than a G29 or a G923 or whatever you're running if it's the Logitech T500 that I used to use, the Thrustmaster. Yeah, I would imagine it's going to be pretty similar to that, to be honest. The feel, although there is a lot more detail, like the bumps going down the road here now. I can feel all the bumps. You can see the steering wheel moving. But on iRacing, the 5 Newton meter power pack, or the power pack that comes with it, definitely not strong enough for me. Although it's difficult because I can feel the car in the corner. I can feel what it's doing. Yeah, I can feel what it's doing. So it's usable, but it just comes down to personal preference here, and I like my force feedback a little bit higher than that. Let's just try and do a reasonable lap and see what I can do, because with my DD1 I was getting 107s round here. Let's see if we can match it with this power pack on here now, with the CSL DD power pack. Let's see what that's going to go to. Auto 11. That's going up a little bit more. Well, let's try and do a flying lap, see how far off we are. I messed turn 1 up. That was me though. That was under braking. That wasn't the wheelbase. Yeah, there's not much feel turning in there. There wasn't the bite that, you know, when you feel the front end. Couldn't really feel it. Feel it sliding there though. It's not going to be the fastest lap this by me. So in the 108s, But yeah, on iRacing, if iRacing's your sim, then I would suggest maybe going for the boost pack. I don't think the 5 Newton meters is strong enough, but it depends what you want. It's subjective, isn't it? I personally would want a little bit more force feedback than that. Right, let's jump into Assetto Corsa Competizione and see what it's like. Right, so we're in ACC now. Set the gain to 100. No damping, road effects. We turn that up a bit. We need some road effects, don't we? We'll put that on 50 for now and see what it's like. Minimum force. Not going to put any of that on. Linearity. Yeah, we just want that at 1. At 1. And that's it really. Right, let's see what this is like with the 5 Newton meter power pack. Already there, it just feels like there's much more force there in ACC. Definitely. Right, okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. My tyres are cold. Loads more detail. Absolutely loads more detail. Still not really, really strong. But yeah, there's plenty of detail there for certain. I can actually feel the weight of the car when I'm turning in now. Now don't let this get into an iRacing versus ACC force feedback battle. But this feels much better on ACC than it did on iRacing. The 5 Newton meter power pack, the one that's included for the price. Yeah, I don't need to do much more testing here. I can already tell that this is much better. It's still not really strong. Not going to rip your arms off by any stretch of the imagination. Just let you know that there's something going on there where you couldn't really tell before on iRacing. Just like when I go across the grass. Yeah, so you feel all the detail, but it's not really doing much. Again, I would want more force feedback than this, definitely. So on to Race Room. Race Room gives you some recommendations on the right hand side that we'll stick to actually, because it gives us them. Wheel torque, linearity, strength, all the rest of it. We've kind of followed their guidance there really. We've got some engine vibrations on, bump amplification, gear shift effects. We've got those on. We'll do what they say and see how it feels, but I'm going to expect it to be a similar story to what it's been like on iRacing and ACC. So I've put the force feedback meter on screen there now that you can see. I can feel the gear shifts through the wheelbase there. Feel the curb, nice. That curb, yep. A little bit of a bump when I went over the sand. But again, it's just that lack of weight on the front when you turn in. It's just lacking a little bit. The detail's all there though. When you go over the curves and stuff and on the road surface, the detail's there. Definitely. You can feel it. There's just not quite enough with this power pack for me. Like there on the carousel, normally you can feel the weight at the front and, you know, you've really got to fight the wheel. But I've got to remember what this is. It's a low-powered direct drive wheelbase. Although I am comparing it to what I'm used to, the DD1, I've got to remember that it's not as powerful. And it's difficult because all the detail that I feel on the DD1 is there. It's just less. It's just the amount of detail is the same. Just the force in which you can feel it is less. That's obvious, right? It's a much lower powered DD wheelbase. But yeah, similar story to iRacing and ACC. Loads of detail. Just not enough power for me, the 5 Newton meters. Right, let's stick on the other power pack. See what that's like. Okay, so here we are then, back in iRacing where we started earlier on. The only thing that we've changed is the power supply. So we've swapped out the one that comes with the wheelbase and we've put on the boost pack power supply, which gives us 8 Newton meters. In the bottom left, you can see the relative there with the force feedback strength number. We've put that down to 6 where we started earlier on. And in the bottom right, you can see the force feedback meter there. We want to keep that in the green. So straight away, I can feel more force feedback. Straight away. Even on number 6, the strength. Right, we'll do a lap or so, let iRacing figure it all out. And then we'll click on auto and see what it's like. But yeah, much better. Much, much better. Loads of detail. You can actually feel the weight of the car now, which is what was lacking earlier on turning. There just wasn't any weight to the car. It didn't feel like the car had any weight. Just wait for that auto button to pop up on force feedback strength meter on the bottom left where the relative would be. There it is. So we'll wait until we get around this turn and then we'll click that and see what it puts the number to. 11.3. Blimey. Right, okay. That's a lot more. That's a lot more. Again, it's popped up again. 11.7. Well, keep an eye on that meter, see if it clips. Going into the orange slightly, but that's not too bad. That would be acceptable for me. Just a tiny flicker. Fine. Yeah, you can feel that now. Definitely. Right, it's auto's there again, so we'll, as soon as we can, we'll change that. That puts that to 11.3, right, so it's dropped it down. Well, let's do a lap and see what it feels like. Feels good, feels good. It was this corner where I wasn't getting any feel earlier on at all there. Just when I turned into that left, there was nothing. Well, it wasn't nothing, but you know, it wasn't strong at all. but it doesn't feel massively different to my DD1. And I don't mean it with regards to strength, etc., because obviously it's a lot less power than the DD1. 108.92. So a similar time that we got with the 5 Newton meters, though, to be honest. But I think that was just a bit of a sloppy lap in general. Yeah, it doesn't feel massively different to the DD1 as far as force feedback feel. Well, there's as much detail there as there is in the DD1. It's just not as powerful. But this is night and day compared to the 5 Newton meter power pack. I could actually use this easily on iRacing. Easily. Yeah, plenty of force in there. Taking off road. Yeah, plenty of detail. Loads of detail there. Excellent. Right, on to ACC. Right, same car as before. Lexus Zolder. I've not changed the force feedback settings at all. Oh, blimey, yeah. Loads of feedback now. Crikey. You can feel what the car's doing mid-corner now. Loads of vibration. Oh. Feels weighty mid-corner. You're still not going to rip your arms off, but do you know what? If this was the force feedback that I was limited to on ACC, or this is as good as I could get, then I would be more than happy. This is pretty good. It's pretty good. My driving is not, though. Yeah, there's loads of force feedback there. Plenty, to be honest. I don't know if it's been translated in the camera in the bottom right or not. But I can't hold that with 2 fingers now. I'll try. Yeah, you can see it's pulling quite easily there. But I'm impressed with that on ACC. Feels better than iRacing, definitely. Again, don't turn it into an iRacing versus ACC force feedback fight. Definitely much better though. Forces seem stronger. The detail in both is there. Maybe the detail feels slightly better in iRacing, but there seems to be a bit more force in ACC. And it's not, you know, it's not numb when you know, it's not like it's clipping and it's chucking all the force it can at the wheelbase. When I turn here, it's not, there's still, even though there's a bit of force, I can still feel bumps in the circuit, which is good. I'm happy with that though. Really good. Beautiful. Right. Let's try Race Room and see what it's like in that sim. So back in Race Room, looking at the recommendations on the right hand side, we're over 5 Newton meters, so I'm going to put the linearity down to 50. Minimum force, wheel torque up to 5 is 0, to 3 is 3, 3 to 5 is 2. I'm going to put that on 4 because it's not on there. Maximum force 100, friction 50. We'll leave everything else as stock. Right, same car, same track. The force feedback meter is on there. I need to change the steering wheel rotation to match the one in this sim, which I think is 410. There we go. Right, loads of vibration now. It feels a little bit numb, but there's force there turning in. There's not as much detail as there is in ACC. Now you can still feel it, so it's not peaking. It's just a bit of friction. A little bit of a dead spot in the middle there. Alright. Maybe need some damping just to smooth that centre part of the force feedback out. Plenty of strength there, plenty of strength. Yeah, it peaked a little bit there, you can see. Just went over the red line. Keep an eye on that. It's doing a good job of keeping it under the red line though. Yeah, you can feel now going around the carousel, the front of the car feels as though it's got some weight to it. Yeah, it peaked a lot there, went right over the red line there. Blimey, under heavy braking there, you could feel it. Again there, so we may need to turn down the force feedback in the sim a little bit. Get it feeling right, but there's everything's there that you would want. Definitely got enough force. Bit of a damaged Corvette there. So we've looked at the CSL DD on 3 different simulators: iRacing, ACC and Race Room. We started off with the power pack that's included with the wheelbase. So that would cost you 349 or 350 euros for that wheelbase with the power pack, USB cable and all that kind of stuff. But you don't get a wheel with that. You've got to remember that you've got to buy a wheel. So that could quite easily take you up to 500 euros before you know it. What did I think of that? Well, all the details there. It's a direct drive wheel after all. It's no different to any other. Whichever direct drive wheel I've tried, you always get those finer details that you miss with a belt-driven wheel. So all the details there, just not strong enough for me. That 5 Newton meters just wasn't enough. even though in ACC and Race Room, it did feel a little bit stronger than it did in iRacing. Still, not enough for me. If I was buying this, I wouldn't just buy it as it is. I would need the boost kit. When you add the boost kit, it changes it dramatically. Everything came alive. The forces were greater. The detail was more. It felt best probably in ACC than any of the other two. The force feedback was brilliant. In iRacing, it didn't feel a million miles away to what I have my force feedback on the DD1. Although I do have the DD1 a bit higher, it didn't feel a million miles away. And all the force feedback and all the detail was really familiar to what it is when I use the DD1. So would I buy one? Who is this for? Well, if you're coming from like a G27, a G29, one of the entry-level direct drive wheels, then even without the boost pack, you're going to notice a big difference. Yes, there's going to be more force, but the detail will blow your mind if you're coming from an entry-level belt-driven wheel. If you come, well, I don't suppose anybody would move sideways from another direct drive wheel unless you wanted to get into the Fanatec ecosystem. This is definitely based or targeted towards those Logitech users, Thrustmaster users, those other people with belt-driven wheels, or Fanatec users that want to upgrade the direct drive but haven't got €1,000. Would I recommend it? Yes, definitely. If you get the boost pack, highly recommend it. I don't think I could use it without the boost pack. I would need the boost pack. Bear in mind that if you buy the boost pack with the wheelbase, you get €20 off, so it costs you €480, and then whatever you want to spend on a wheel on top of that. So before you know it, you could be looking at €650, €700 for your wheelbase, but that's with a wheel as well. You've got to think that if you bought another direct drive wheel from somewhere else, you're only going to get the wheelbase, and it's probably going to cost you not too far shy of €1,000. So it's a thumbs up from me. Not enough force with the normal power pack, but with the boost pack, definitely worth it. Hopefully it's been of some use. I haven't gone into the details. I've just looked at it from a sim racer's point of view and what I could use and what I would live with. And I wouldn't live with it with the normal power pack. So there we go. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am a Fanatec partner. There are links in the description to this wheelbase, the boost pack. If you click on one of those links, then I'll get a small commission. Doesn't cost you a penny. If you don't want to give me the commission, please find your favourite YouTuber who's reviewed one of these and go and click on their link and they will get the commission. But thanks everyone for watching. Hope to see you on track. See you later. Cheers.